At 7:16 on Sunday evening, Marcus's uncle placed a hand on his shoulder and quietly said, "You know, there's no shame in struggling." Marcus looked down at the supermarket cake in front of him. Across the dining room, his cousins were comparing cars, mortgages, watches, and holidays. His younger brother was showing everyone photographs of a new kitchen he had financed. His aunt was explaining why buying a larger house was the smartest decision the family had ever made. Marcus had arrived in the same 12-year-old car he had been driving for almost a decade. He was wearing a plain black jumper. No watch. No designer shoes. No stories about expensive restaurants. To everyone in the room, Marcus was the one who had fallen behind. His mother worried about him. His cousins pitied him. His uncle occasionally offered him work. And nobody at the table knew that Marcus's net worth had passed $2 million 11 days earlier. Marcus could have corrected them. He could have opened his phone, shown them the accounts, the investments, the business equity, the property documents. One screen would have changed the entire room. But Marcus did not reach for his phone. He simply smiled and said, "I'm doing all right." His uncle nodded with the gentle expression people use when they do not believe you. Then something happened that would test whether Marcus had been quietly building wealth. Or quietly building a wall between himself and everyone he loved. Because before the night ended, one person at that table would ask Marcus for money. Another would discover part of the truth. And Marcus would be forced to answer a question no spreadsheet had ever prepared him for. How much of your wealth should the people closest to you be allowed to see? Marcus had not planned to become secretive. At the beginning, there was nothing to hide. He was 27, overdrawn, and living from one salary payment to the next. He drove an old silver car because it was the only car he could afford. He brought food from home because buying lunch every day felt reckless. His family knew he was struggling because everyone in the family knew everything. Money was discussed openly, but not honestly. People announced pay rises. They mentioned the price of new furniture. They displayed purchases and called them progress. What nobody discussed were the credit card balances, the private loans, the monthly payments, or the anxiety hiding behind the photographs. In Marcus's family, wealth was measured by what arrived in the driveway. A newer car meant success. A larger house meant success. An expensive holiday meant success. Marcus believed the same thing until the year his father became ill. The illness was not fatal, but it stopped his father from working for several months. The family suddenly discovered that a good income and financial security were not the same thing. The house looked successful. The bank account did not. Bills continued arriving. Insurance covered less than expected. Relatives offered sympathy, but sympathy could not pay the mortgage. Marcus watched his parents sell things quietly. First, a second television. Then some jewelry. Then his father's car. That experience changed him. He stopped asking, "How wealthy does this make me look?" He began asking, "How long would this protect me if my income disappeared?" The question was less exciting. It was also far more useful. Marcus started saving. At first, the amounts were small enough to feel meaningless. $40. 75. 120 after a month with no repairs. He built an emergency fund before buying anything new. He cleared expensive debt. He learned to invest without pretending he could predict the future. His family noticed only what he stopped doing. He stopped joining every weekend trip. He stopped replacing things that still worked. He stopped ordering drinks simply because everyone else had. They did not see the account growing. They saw absence. Marcus never enjoys himself. Marcus is too cautious. Marcus must not be earning much. The comments irritated him in the beginning. He wanted to defend himself. But defending yourself with financial details creates a new problem. Once people know the number, they rarely forget it. So Marcus stayed quiet. 3 years passed. His emergency fund became an investment account. His investment account became a portfolio. His small freelance work became a consulting business. The old car remained. The plain clothes remained. From the outside, almost nothing changed. That was the point. Marcus learned that visible wealth and actual wealth often move in opposite directions. Visible wealth asks, "What can I buy today?" Actual wealth asks, "What can I stop being afraid of tomorrow?" The first made people notice him. The second helped him sleep. By the time Marcus reached his first $100,000, his family had become convinced he was financially stuck. His younger brother, Adrian, was earning less than Marcus but living much louder. Adrian leased a German car, wore expensive trainers, and moved into a modern apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows. At family gatherings, people asked Adrian for career advice. They asked Marcus whether he had considered applying for a better job. Marcus found it amusing. Then he found it useful. Being underestimated gave him room. Nobody tried to sell him investments. Nobody asked him to fund ideas. Nobody treated dinner as automatically his responsibility. Marcus could listen while everyone else performed. And listening revealed something. The people who talked most confidently about money were often the most frightened by it. His cousin Daniel described his new vehicle for 20 minutes, then quietly asked Marcus whether he knew how balance transfers worked. His aunt praised property ownership, then admitted her mortgage payment had risen beyond what she could comfortably manage. Adrian spoke about living fully, but answered work emails throughout dinner because missing one promotion would threaten the entire lifestyle. Marcus did not judge them. At least, he tried not to. He understood the temptation. Every time his portfolio crossed another milestone, he imagined changing everything at once. A better car. A larger home. A visible reward that would force the family to reconsider him. But each time, he asked what the purchase would actually improve. The old car started every morning. His apartment was safe. His clothes were comfortable. Buying something purely to correct another person's opinion felt like allowing them to spend his money. So he waited. That did not mean Marcus lived like a prisoner. This distinction mattered. Quiet wealth is not the same as refusing to enjoy life. Marcus traveled, but he did not post every trip. He ate at good restaurants, but not to prove he belonged there. He paid for convenience when it protected his time. He spent generously on his health, education, and the people he cared about. He simply stopped purchasing evidence. Still, secrecy carries its own cost. The more Marcus's wealth grew, the less honest he became about parts of his life. When his mother asked whether he was managing, he said, "Barely." It was meant as a joke. She did not hear it that way. She began slipping cash into birthday cards. Marcus always returned it indirectly. He would pay for a repair at her house or fill her refrigerator without explaining why. He believed he was protecting his privacy. But from her perspective, her adult son was struggling and refusing help. There is a difference between privacy and deception. Marcus did not recognize it yet. At the Sunday dinner, his family was celebrating his grandmother's 75th birthday. The room was crowded and loud. Children ran between chairs. Plates moved in every direction. Marcus was cutting the cake when Adrian walked in wearing a new watch. Everyone noticed. That was why he had chosen it. Adrian lifted his wrist casually, making sure the movement was not casual at all. Daniel asked the price. Adrian laughed and said, "More than Marcus's car." The table erupted. Marcus laughed too. That made Adrian continue. You need to upgrade, brother. People see that thing and think you've given up. Marcus looked through the window at his old silver car. It was parked beside Adrian's polished black vehicle. Maybe I have, Marcus said. More laughter. Only his mother did not smile. Later, she pulled Marcus into the kitchen. She opened a drawer and removed an envelope. There's 2,000 in here. Marcus stared at it. For what? For you. Mom, I don't need, don't be proud. I'm not being proud. Then take it. Her voice was quiet but firm. Marcus suddenly understood the story she had been living. Every old shirt, every declined holiday, every joke about being broke had become evidence. She did not see discipline. She saw her son falling behind and hiding it. Marcus pushed the envelope back. I'm okay. You always say that. Because I am. Then why do you live like you're waiting for something bad to happen? The question stopped him. Marcus had built wealth because something bad had once happened. Perhaps part of him was still waiting. Before he could answer, Adrian entered the kitchen. He looked from Marcus to the envelope. What's going on? Nothing, Marcus said. His mother put the envelope away. Adrian watched her. Then he looked at Marcus. For the first time that evening, the confidence left his face. I actually need to talk to you, he said. Marcus assumed Adrian wanted to apologize for the joke. He did not. They stepped outside into the garden. The noise from the dining room became distant. Adrian placed both hands in his pockets. The business is in trouble. Marcus knew Adrian had invested in a small property renovation company with two friends. They bought neglected homes, repaired them, and sold them quickly. Online, it looked successful. There were photographs of new kitchens, polished floors, and smiling buyers. What kind of trouble? Marcus asked. Adrian looked toward the house. We bought 3 properties at the same time. Costs went up. 2 sales fell through. How much do you owe? Adrian did not answer immediately. That was the first warning. About 180,000. Marcus kept his expression still. When is it due? Part of it on Friday. How much? 60. 60,000. Adrian nodded. And what happens if you don't pay? We lose one of the properties. Maybe more. Marcus could hear his uncle laughing inside. The family believed Adrian was successful and Marcus was struggling. Reality was standing in the dark between them. Why are you telling me? Marcus asked. Adrian looked embarrassed. I thought you might know someone. Someone who lends money. You work with business owners. Banks lend money. The bank said no. That was the second warning. When professional lenders refuse a deal, family members should not automatically assume they have discovered an opportunity. Sometimes they have simply been asked to accept a risk the bank understands better. Marcus asked to see the numbers. Adrian became defensive. It's temporary. That isn't a number. We have assets. Then sell one. We can't sell quickly without losing money. Then the assets are worth less to you than they appear on paper. Adrian's face hardened. I didn't ask for a lecture. You haven't asked me for anything yet. Silence. Then Adrian said it. Could you lend me the 60? Marcus almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because he was confused. You think I have $60,000? Adrian looked directly at him. I saw the message. What message? On your phone. Marcus remembered placing his phone on the kitchen counter. A notification had appeared from his investment platform. A dividend payment had landed. The notification did not show his full net worth. But it showed enough to destroy the family's old picture of him. "How much do you actually have?" Adrian asked. Marcus felt something close inside him. This was exactly what he had feared. A number had entered the relationship. And numbers are difficult to remove once they change the balance of a conversation. That isn't relevant. It is if you can help. "I need to see the business accounts." "You're my brother. That's why I need to see them." Adrian stepped back. "So you do have it." Marcus said nothing. Adrian's expression shifted from surprise to calculation. It happened quickly, but Marcus saw it. The old car no longer looked like poverty. It looked like hidden capacity. Every dinner Marcus had allowed others to pay for, every modest gift, every refusal to join an expensive trip could now be reinterpreted. Not as caution. As withholding. "You let everyone think you're broke," Adrian said. "I never asked anyone to think anything." "You didn't correct them." "Why should I?" "Because Mum worries about you." That landed. Adrian continued. "She has been worrying for years while you sit on money." "I didn't know she felt that way." "You never asked." Marcus looked through the kitchen window. His mother was carrying plates to the table. He had told himself privacy protected relationships. But privacy without reassurance had created a false reality for the person who cared about him most. Still, that did not make Adrian's business safe. Marcus asked him to send every document by midnight. Bank statements. Loan agreements. Property valuations. Outstanding invoices. Personal guarantees. Everything. Adrian hesitated. "If I help," Marcus said, "it will be because the plan makes sense. Not because we share parents." Adrian's voice became cold. "You talk differently when you have money. Maybe people listen differently when they know." Adrian sent the documents at 11:43. Marcus remained awake until nearly 3 in the morning. The business was worse than Adrian had admitted. The properties were overvalued. The company had used short-term debt to fund projects that required more time. 2 partners had taken money out of the business while bills were building. Most dangerously, Adrian had personally guaranteed several loans. If the company failed, the problem would follow him home. Marcus could lend $60,000. But 60 would not solve the underlying problem. It would move the crisis by several weeks and place family emotion inside a failing structure. This is one of the hardest financial lessons to apply. Having enough money to help does not mean handing over the amount someone requests. Sometimes help is payment. Sometimes help is a plan. Sometimes help is refusing to finance denial. On Monday morning, Marcus called Adrian. "I won't lend the business $60,000. Adrian went silent. Marcus continued before he could respond. "I'll pay for an independent insolvency advisor. Today. I'll also help you negotiate with the lenders. But the company needs to stop buying, sell what it can, and show every creditor the real position." "You're letting me fail." "No. I'm refusing to pretend you haven't already reached the part where the plan must change. I can save it. Then the numbers should prove that. You have $2 million and you won't give your own brother $60,000. The sentence confirmed what Marcus had feared. The number had become the argument. Not the risk. Not the business. Not the repayment plan. The fact that Marcus could afford the loss was being used as proof that he should accept it. But affordability does not create obligation. And love does not require participation in every bad decision. Adrian ended the call. By lunchtime, the family knew. Marcus's mother phoned first. Is it true? Marcus did not ask which part. Yes. How long? Several years. And you never told us? I didn't think it should matter. It matters because I thought you were in trouble. I know. No, Marcus. You didn't know. You made jokes. You let me worry. She was right. Marcus had used understatement so often that it became dishonesty. He apologized. Not for keeping the exact number private. For allowing her to believe he was unsafe. There was a long pause. Then she asked, "Are you going to help your brother?" "I am helping him." "He says you refused." "I refuse to give the business money without a viable plan." "You have more than enough. That doesn't make the business less broken." His mother did not like the answer. But she listened. Marcus explained the debt, the guarantees, and the missing cash. He did not insult Adrian. He did not describe him as irresponsible. He described the situation. By the end of the conversation, his mother understood something important. There is a difference between rescuing a person and rescuing the decision that harmed them. Marcus would help Adrian survive the collapse. He would not help the collapse continue. Over the next 3 months, Adrian's company sold 2 properties at losses. One partner disappeared. The other blamed everyone else. Marcus paid for professional advice. He helped Adrian build a personal budget and negotiate payment arrangements. He did not pay the company's debt. The family called him cold. Then the full accounts became visible. Opinions changed. Not completely. Money rarely leaves relationships exactly as it found them. Some relatives began treating Marcus differently. His uncle stopped offering him work. Daniel started sending investment ideas. An aunt asked whether Marcus could help her son with a house deposit. At dinner, people watched to see who reached for the bill. Marcus discovered that secrecy had protected him from pressure, but the truth introduced expectations. So he created boundaries. He never discussed exact numbers at family gatherings. He did not lend money without written terms. He did not invest in businesses he had not independently reviewed. He gave gifts only when he could give them without controlling the recipient afterward. And he separated emergencies from recurring patterns. A genuine emergency required compassion. A repeated crisis required a change in behavior. Most importantly, Marcus spoke honestly with his mother. He did not reveal every account. He gave her what she had actually needed. Reassurance. "My home is secure," he told her. "I have no expensive debt. I can stop working for a long time and still be okay. You do not need to worry about me." She looked at him for several seconds. "Then why do you still drive that terrible car?" Marcus smiled. "Because it still works." 6 months later, the car finally stopped working. The repair cost more than the vehicle was worth. Marcus replaced it with a comfortable, reliable model. Not the cheapest. Not the most expensive. Adrian saw it and laughed. Finally spending some of it. Marcus shook his head. Finally solving a problem. Adrian had changed too. The business collapse had damaged his confidence, but it had also removed the performance. He moved into a smaller apartment. He sold the watch. He found a stable job and started rebuilding. For the first time, the brothers could discuss money without pretending. One evening, Adrian asked Marcus why he had hidden his wealth for so long. Marcus thought about the answer. "I didn't want people to treat me like a number." "Did it work?" "No," Marcus said. "They treated me like a different number. Broke. cheap, behind. People will often assign you a financial identity whether you provide the evidence or not. You cannot control every conclusion. You can only decide whether correcting it serves a useful purpose. There are good reasons to keep wealth private. Privacy can protect your safety. It can reduce social pressure. It can prevent comparison from entering healthy relationships. It can stop lifestyle inflation before it starts. It can give your investments time to grow without forcing your appearance to grow beside them. But privacy becomes harmful when it requires the people closest to you to live inside a lie. Marcus learned that he did not need to publish his net worth. He needed to stop performing poverty. There was no wisdom in allowing his mother to lose sleep so he could feel mysterious. There was no humility in pretending he could not afford dinner while allowing someone in a worse position to pay. Quiet wealth should make you less dependent on approval. It should not make you emotionally unavailable. The practical rules Marcus kept were simple. Do not reveal financial details merely to win respect. Respect 1 through numbers disappears when a larger number enters the room. Do not spend money to correct someone else's misunderstanding. The purchase remains after their attention moves on. Keep emergency money accessible. Keep long-term wealth diversified. Know the difference between assets you own and cash you can actually use. Be careful when lending to family. Ask the same questions a bank would ask, then remember that a bank can absorb awkwardness more easily than a family can. Never give money you will secretly resent losing. And never confuse helping someone with removing every consequence from their choices. Marcus's family still made jokes about his old habits. He still brought food from home sometimes. He still ignored trends that would not improve his life. But the jokes no longer bothered him. He knew the difference between appearing wealthy and being financially difficult to control. One requires constant proof. The other often looks ordinary. At the next family birthday, Marcus arrived early. His mother was setting the table. She handed him a stack of plates, then looked out of the window at his sensible new car. "You could afford something much nicer," she said. "I could. But you don't want it?" "Not yet." She nodded. This time, there was no worry in her expression. Only understanding. Later that evening, his uncle began explaining how important it was to enjoy money while you were young. Marcus listened. He did not correct him. He did not open an app. He did not mention $2 million. Because the point of hidden wealth was never to enjoy knowing something other people did not. The point was to build a life that did not require their belief. Your family may think you are broke. Your friends may think you are falling behind. Strangers may look at your clothes, your car, your home, and confidently calculate a life they cannot see. Let them be wrong when their opinion costs you nothing. But be honest with the people whose love turns your silence into fear. Wealth does not have to be displayed. It does have to be understood by the person building it. Marcus had spent years protecting the number. Eventually, he learned to protect something more difficult. The relationships around it. Because becoming wealthy quietly is one challenge. Remaining generous, honest, and free after people discover it. That is another.